Miami just got exposed in brutal fashion. The Commanders didn't just beat the Dolphins 27, they exposed a roster with a dangerous weakness. Malik Willis may be the answer, but Miami needs a 50 cal weapon before the season explodes.
I look at it like this, Stephen, and that's not luck. Dio can tell you, we practice the Hail Mary every single week. And in order for it to go off without a hitch, everybody needs to do their job. If you're prepared for a situation, when the opportunity presents itself, it goes without a hitch. If you look at it, hell, every player's luck being. Because guess what? You practice said play. Now, there's a greater probability that.
But Washington had other plans. The Commanders didn't just survive. They exposed Miami's biggest weakness. And what happened next sent the Dolphins straight into panic mode.
But it didn't happen. The Commanders beat the Dolphins 20-7. Marcus Mariota injured his knee in the first quarter, non-contact, never good. Malik Willis, 4 of 5, 43 yards, touchdown on the very first drive. Dolphins found their franchise. Ocho, do you believe, the Guppies, you believe they found their franchise quarterback?
Hey, listen, let's be respectful. I believe they have found their franchise quarterback. Malik Willis looked good in his first drive, but what I would like the Dolphins to do is they're going to have to improve. They're going to have to improve because you get Malik Willis, you pay him the money, and you went and got him based on what you saw him do in Green Bay. And I said it before, but you have to understand the personnel. You have to understand the supporting cast that he had in Green Bay.
Yeah.
The receivers he had. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the receivers that the Dolphins have. They need one dog. Obviously, we have Tutu Atwell. We have a great supporting cast of receivers, but we need a dog. We need somebody where Malik Willis can go in the center, he can be blindfolded, and he can be guaranteed that if I go in this direction with this ball, this individual is going to be able to make a play for me 9 times out of 10. You need one of those. Now it's going to be really tough in the AFC East. Now you got New England, got a bunch of boys that can go. We got Buffalo, got a bunch of boys that can go. You know, so it's a little different. And I mean the Jets.
Leave a whole lot to write home about.
But hey, but who you
and the problem is, Ocho, for the Dolphins is that you're gonna have to match the Patriots offense.
Yes.
You're gonna have to match Buffalo's offense. We know those teams can put points on the board. Now they feel they have an even more explosive receiver in AJ Brown with the Patriots.
Yes.
We don't need to even talk about with Buffalo because we know with Josh Allen what they feel and how they think. So that should probably defensively, I think the Patriots' defense is a little bit more formidable than Buffalo's defense. But I think Buffalo's offense is a little bit more explosive. Both teams can put pressure on your defense and force you into a situation where you feel like you got to score and you sometimes take unnecessary risk. But the Patriots' defense, man, they're going to be outstanding. Malik Willis is going to have to play well, and I think he will. But I agree with you, Ocho. At some point in time, y'all going to have to go get that man some weapons because y'all just don't have the firepower. You don't have the arsenal to be what you think and who you think you are. And forget the division because, you want to win your division, but you have the bigger aspirations of making a deep run in the playoffs and potentially getting to the Super Bowl. I don't think you have the personnel to currently do that.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is I wouldn't want to forget the division. I want to focus on the division and being able to compete in the division and being able to get out of that before I even think about playing in the playoffs. And obviously that would be upgrading my personnel. Now, listen, I like our receivers. I like we got a bunch of machine guns, but we need a 50 cal.
Yeah.
You hear me, Young?
Y'all got a 50 cal, but they ain't got but one bullet in it. So you better hope everybody's standing in a single file line. Other than that, you gonna get toe slam up.
Hey, I thought Malik Willis looked efficient tonight. Okay, Ocho. In limited work, no turnovers. He did his thing. But when you think about it, what about the backup quarterback play for the Dolphins?
Quinn Ewers.
What's his name? Quinn. Oh man. Oh my God. It was rough, bro. It was rough. I think Miami's first team offense showed a lot of promise early, but Washington's depth and they run game, they clearly took control of the game.
Yeah. Well, everybody's trying to evaluate the second because look, you a quarterback injury away from being out of the playoffs. You can be out of the playoffs, Ocho, or you can play. And if your quarterback is only down for say a month or so, can he hold the ship steady and give you an opportunity to come back and pick up where you left off? Or are you going to be 0-4 if he misses a month? You're going to be 1-3. And for all intents and purposes, your playoffs is over. That's the thing you try to avoid against. That's why you try to have competent backups, is that somebody that can hold a fort down until you saw Malik Willis. He was able to do that for Jordan Love. You've seen other quarterbacks do that for the starting quarterback. The quarterback goes down, the backup comes in, he holds it afloat.
Miami just got exposed, and the scary part is the 27 loss to Washington may have revealed a problem much bigger than the scoreboard. Marcus Mariota went down with a non-contact knee injury in the first quarter, forcing Malik Willis into action. And Willis immediately gave Miami something to talk about.
4 of 5 passing, 43 yards, a touchdown on his very first drive.
No turnovers, no panic, just efficiency. But while Willis looked promising, Washington exposed the bigger issue. Miami doesn't have enough proven firepower around its quarterback. And if this team wants to survive the AFC East, that could become a serious problem. And that's why this game suddenly became less about Mariota and much more about whether Malik Willis can actually become Miami's answer. Let's give Willis credit. His first drive was exactly what Miami needed. He was efficient, protected the football, and finished with a touchdown. That performance immediately sparked the question, did Miami find its franchise quarterback? Maybe. But here's the catch. Willis succeeded in Green Bay because he had a supporting cast that allowed him to play efficiently. Miami now has to give him the same opportunity. And according to the arguments surrounding this team, there's one thing missing. One true dog. Miami has receivers. Miami has speed. Miami has players who can make plays. But they need one receiver Willis can trust when everything breaks down. One guy where Willis can throw the ball into a difficult situation and believe he's going to make that play. That's not just another receiver. That's a weapon. Because in Miami's division, having several good weapons isn't enough. You need one weapon that changes the entire game. The best description may be the simplest. Miami has machine guns, but it needs a 50 cal. That's the difference between having weapons and having a true game changer. A 50 cal receiver is the guy defenses cannot ignore. The guy who can win one-on-one. The guy who can make an impossible catch. The guy who turns a broken play into a touchdown. Because when Malik Willis is under pressure, Miami needs somebody he can trust. And if the Dolphins don't find that player, their offense could become extremely predictable when games get tight. You don't need 10 stars. Sometimes you need one terrifying weapon that forces the defense to change its entire plan. And that problem becomes even more dangerous when you look at the teams waiting for Miami inside the AFC East. Miami doesn't have the luxury of figuring this out slowly. New England has offensive weapons. Buffalo has Josh Allen. And the Patriots are now adding even more explosiveness with A.J. Brown. These teams can score. They can force Miami into shootouts. And when you fall behind against explosive offenses, quarterbacks start taking risks. One bad decision becomes another. Suddenly, a 7-3 deficit becomes 17-3. And now you're asking your quarterback to carry the entire offense. That's why Miami needs to improve its personnel, not just for the division, but for the playoffs. Because if the Dolphins can't consistently create explosive plays, their Super Bowl ambitions could disappear long before January. And Washington's 20-7 victory showed exactly what happens when Miami's depth starts getting tested. Miami's first-team offense showed promise, but Washington had the depth and eventually the running game to take control. That's what makes this loss interesting. NFL seasons aren't decided only when everybody is healthy. They're decided when somebody gets hurt. And Mariota's injury immediately showed why backup quarterback play matters. If your starter misses a month, can the backup keep you alive? Can you go 3-1? Or do you go 1-3? Maybe even 0-4? Because in the AFC, starting the season 0-4 can essentially destroy your playoff hopes. That's why Willis suddenly becomes so important.
He has already demonstrated that he can step into a difficult situation and keep an offense functioning.
But now, Miami has to make sure he actually has enough weapons around him. And then there was another uncomfortable part of the night, the performance behind Willis. Quinn Ewers struggled.
And the contrast was obvious. Willis finished his first drive 4 of 5 for 43 yards and a touchdown. He didn't turn the ball over. He looked composed. That doesn't mean Ewers should be judged forever by one preseason performance. But it does reinforce the importance of having a competent backup. Because the goal isn't necessarily to replace the starter permanently. The goal is to hold the fort. Keep the season alive. Give the starter a chance to return without the entire season already being over. Willis has shown that ability before. Now Miami has to decide whether he is simply insurance or potentially something much bigger. And that brings us to the real question. If Willis is the answer, does Miami have enough around him to make that answer matter? This is where the Dolphins have to be honest. If the goal is simply to compete, maybe the current roster is enough. But if the goal is to win the AFC East, make a deep playoff run, and eventually reach the Super Bowl, Miami needs more. Malik Willis may have just shown that he can keep the offense alive. But a quarterback cannot do it alone. Miami needs that 50-cal weapon. Someone who can turn a 5-yard play into 30. Someone who wins when the defense knows the ball is coming. Someone Willis can trust when the season is on the line. Because Washington didn't just beat Miami 20-7. They exposed a question that could follow this team all season. Does Miami have enough firepower to survive when Plan A falls apart? Willis gave Dolphins fans a reason to believe. Washington gave them a reason to worry. And now, Miami has to decide which message matters more. Because if Malik Willis really is the answer, Miami better give him the weapons to prove it before the AFC East turns that promising quarterback story into another lost season.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.